The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Crime News Tour.
You're listening to Canary Crime News Talk. Today is December 8th, 2025. We are live to tape on episode 898. And today, Bebe and the Beast signing on from Off the Grid. Razzle Dazzle, I'm your best buddy Basil, and you are not crazy.
And my name is Gonz, at Face Like the Sun, director of the Age of Deceit films and author of Archetypalism, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from the metaverse to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. It's Monday.
Gary, what day is it? Ow, Monday.
It is Pretend to be a Time Traveler Day and Ye Old Basil Podcasterson Day.
Wow. Pretend to be a time traveler. I do take a little bit of offense at that, but that's okay. You know, where would the world be without the posers? But if you're not a real time traveler, I guess pretending to be one is the next best thing. Shout out to everybody who jumped on the Canary Cry supply drop, getting their Canary Cry calendar in the mail. Lord willing, before Christmas, it's going to be great. And I think I made the announcement on Thursday. Unless it was Wednesday and you heard me make this announcement. But because our very last Goldback related episode was a few days late, we are extending the supply drop deadline a few days. I think we are technically past that as well. But thank you to everybody who jumped in. It's going to be a good time. Going to be a good supply drop. Going to be a beautiful Christmas, gods.
I know, I'm looking forward to it. Real quick here, we gotta start off with a quick Nephilim update. And it's a shout out to the Nephilim Death Squad who had you and I on last week.
Yeah, it was great. Yes, the Nephilim Death Squad boys over there, Top Lobster and Raven. Great conversation, great chat with them. Wonderful boys over there. I know we have a lot of overlap. A lot of our folks listen to Nephilim Death Squad. Hopefully now some of those Nephilim Death Squad folks find their way over here. I thought it was surprising conversation because, of course, whenever you get guys like you and I, Gonz, and guys like them together, the expectation is that it would be this sort of whirlwind of conspiracy theorizing and hilarity. But I will say, on top of those things that are expected, it was truly, I mean, one of the most Holy Spirit led conversations that I think I've had, on air in quite some time. I think going in there, re-listening to it, I'm like, yeah.
Oops. That's not supposed to play yet.
It's not supposed to play yet. Anyways, go check it out, folks. I think it really speaks to, it's one thing for us to yell about what we think is going on in the world and going on in the body of Christ right now. But to be able to bounce it off some guys who are doing similar stuff meant a lot. And looks like a lot of people are liking it. Lots of great feedback in the comments section over there. So if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. The link will be in the show notes. I did also include the link in the email blast that went out before the show. And let us know what you thought about it. And big shout out to all of the Canarians who were the ones to pester the Nephilim Death Squad guys about having us on. It really makes a difference when you're a Canary Cry producer, constantly pestering other podcasts to have us on. It works. I know Sir Psalm 40 had a big hand in that, and I know there were others. So thank you to the Canary Cry producers for that. Go check it out.
Yep.
Okay, so today is going to be a little bit of razzle dazzle frazzle. Gonz is going to take a quick break in the middle of the show somewhere to go pick up the kids, but we didn't want to cut the show short. So you'll be in my safe, warm embrace for a little bit until Gonz gets back. But before that, we're going to give him a chance to spill his guts about some things going on in the world today. Take it away, Gonzo.
All right, now the jingle.
ZIONIST.
And also because we are living in the new age of Aquarius.
We will launch a new age.
He was not lying. So, of course, there's a lot going on with Middle East tensions, as always, for centuries, and the Israel issue, especially concerning modern nation-state Israel, with the American politics of today, especially conservatism, is, I don't know, the fever is all at an all-time high. It feels like, it's an underbelly conversation that's been going on for about 10 years, but now it's really exploded onto the scene as we've been tracking over the last few months. It's really heated up. Last couple of years, really, starting on October 7th with what happened there. But here's Bibi Netanyahu. I think he's speaking at some event here with the German chancellor or German leader next to him. And he's got a few words, which should not be surprising for anybody, but just to get a little context going here.
The one thing that we will always insist upon is that the sovereign power of security from the Jordan River, which is right here, to the Mediterranean Sea, which is right there, that will always remain in Israel's hands. And that means that Israel will control its destiny and continue to protect its security for our sake and for others as well. I have to say, Friedrich, I think we're at the cusp of a new age, because I think that we will achieve the expansion of peace. I think that we are in a new age because I think that the possibilities of technology, with their risks, especially in AI, but with their positive benefits, are enormous in every field. I mean, from agriculture to health to transportation and I think that we are together. We can lead this and become not a secondary power, but a primary power in the advance of humanity.
So there you go. Israel has long been touted as like a Silicon Valley junior because of their tech innovation and influence in the world. And maybe with the fall of Silicon Valley, maybe not the fall, but I don't know, the less favorable Silicon Valley moment here, or maybe like the Christianization of Silicon Valley, quote unquote. Maybe Israel and Netanyahu see this as an opportunity for Israel to become the new Silicon Valley. But the conversation.
Interesting connection too. This was something we talked about before. We also brought it up on the Nephilim Deathsquad interview, is the weird Christendom that's coming up in Silicon Valley. Peter Thiel, the tech bro Bible study, and with all that coming the like weird Silicon Valley theology, which mirrors kind of this very interesting 90s, early 2000s, equating with Israel and the biblical Israel, nation state Israel, biblical Israel. And so for Bebe to talk about Israel's going to be a main superpower, which of course reflects what's in the book of Revelation. And that, yes, the
new age
conglomeration, the new age and the conglomeration, or the becoming the new Silicon Valley, having that sort of 80s, 90s, 2000s pro-Israel Christian theology in Silicon Valley is a great lineup to then acquiesce or lend power to Israel as the sort of new Silicon Valley. It lines up quite well.
So to put a cherry on top of that point, here's a promo video by AIPAC, which has been sort of the target of the America First movement. You got your Nick Fuentes is leading the charge. I guess Tucker Carlson started some of this over the summer, and Candace Owens being she's turned into kind of a scapegoat, public enemy number one for evangelicals who are sympathetic towards the Christian Zionist stance on things. And so just to get an idea of AIPAC pushing this technological innovation of Israel, here's their ad.
No audio.
No audio? Man.
No audio.
This thing, you know what? Restart your browser. Every time I play something, it stops working.
Yeah, I know.
It's just,
how it goes here.
I know. Here, let me try this again. Let's see. Da-da-da, here we go. And on the screen. And
it's the start of a new day. And thanks to Israeli innovation, the journey will be made easier. I'll show you the sky.
So for those of you listening, this ad is just, people walking around in the streets and on their phones and all that, but it has
very corporate. It's an extremely corporate, hilariously sort of vanilla presentation. Very happy. Everything's bright. Everybody's smiling. Love the music choice. Great branding.
And it's got the HUD of Israel with a whole bunch of different menu options, and they all kind of pop up as different scenes unfold in this ad.
Actions clearer. No looking down. Our food more plentiful and nourishing. Open your eyes. Our oceans clean. Far from the ground. No looking down. Our communities safer. When you come across that mountain and the top seems out.
This one's my favorite screen here because it's got like a surveillance unit and it's under cyber tech, and it's got all kinds of it just shows some surveillance camera footage, like 4 of them on the screen.
A grid of surveillance footage with obvious AI tracking everybody walking around and like pulling up their bios and stuff.
And some of the overlays on the HUD, Wix.com. I didn't know Wix.com was related to any of that. But then also NanoWire. Is that a company? NanoWire?
No
idea. I don't know, but apparently they got nanowires tracking things.
Our loved ones healthier.
So happy.
One step till we get it right.
And of course the Statue of Liberty.
Morning to night, whatever the challenge, Israel is America's partner for a better future.
Oh, how could you deny it, Basil? How could we be against our only allies in the Middle East? So obviously this tech move has been part of the conversation here with even with the Gaza situation. We heard that the IDF used AI to identify their targets, and these things happened rather quickly without a whole lot of public conversation on the ethics involved. I mean, we talked about it for a decade, Basil, of like, hey, how does this work in warfare, in kinetic situations? Is it ethical to unleash AI to identify targets and blow them up and stuff, and of course, not a whole lot of people thought it was even realistic, and now it's almost too late because every military is working towards that end. But the conversation here with America, especially conservatism, Western civilization, and we're in this new age. What does that all look like? And, the last couple episodes, I've brought up the Vatican almost seemingly out of the blue. I even mentioned it in the Nephilim Deathsquad interview where I think we brought up Candace Owens, and I was like, Vatican. I didn't really explain myself, but I just sort of threw that out there. And I want to expand upon that a little bit here just to provide a little perspective, because I think it'll help put into context why Tucker Carlson, for example, is going to Qatar and having a sit-down interview with the Prime Minister of Qatar, and we'll get to that in a second here. I've heard a lot of Christian Zionists start to say, with the division of the America First and the traditional MAGA, legacy MAGA people arguing online, that Tucker Carlson is complicit with Islamic terrorists now because, he's being friendly with Qatar, and therefore that is bad for being friendly with Israel. You have to choose. You have to be, you got to be one or the other. You can't be both, or you can't be some kind of peacemaker or whatever. And the reason why I brought up the Vatican is because there's a historical precedent here concerning the relationship between political Zionism and the Vatican. And one of the first things that I want to point out is in 1832, it's 1832 to 1834, during Pope Gregory the 16th, they actually got a loan from the Rothschilds. Mainly it was James de Rothschild in Paris and Karl von Rothschild in Naples. And the reason for the loan was because the Papal States were nearly insolvent. and they needed some liquidity. So, of course, the Rothschilds, being who they were, this is, again, well before the establishment of the modern nation state, but people understand sort of the history with Rothschilds and the Bauer family. They changed their name to Rothschild, and they became a banking dynasty. And in the 1800s, they did give a loan to the Vatican so that the Vatican does not go insolvent. Now, history tells us that the Vatican repaid the loan during the 19th century. So that's all, mopped under the rug and no big deal. But even at the time, there were some controversies. Some people, especially Catholics, did not like that they were being bailed out by Jewish banking. And then on the opposite end, some Jewish communities didn't like that the Rothschilds were cooperating with an institution like the Vatican or the papacy, when historically the Vatican has been very hostile towards the Jews. So it was one of those disruptive moments, much like today with the chaos magician of Trump and sort of the breaking of taboos when it comes to relationships or deal making at the elite level, where, public loyalties are set aside for some benefits to both parties of the elite, and we don't always see that until hindsight. But so that's an example of the relationship between the Vatican with some of the early seeds of what became the modern nation state of Israel. And of course, then in the 1920s and 30s, with the rise of actual Nazism in Germany, the Vatican, technically, publicly, they said they support the Center Party, the Zentrum, and they allegedly publicly opposed both communism and radical nationalism, like the Nazi Party. But in 1933, there was the Reichskonkordat. I think I'm saying that right. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I don't have a good German accent. But basically, the Vatican negotiated a deal with Nazi Germany, which was more of a diplomatic thing. And the reason why the Vatican did this was for, number one, to protect Catholics in Germany during this whole situation. So Catholic schools and Catholic institutions, and then also for legal protection for the clergy that were in Germany. And then for Hitler, this actually provided international legitimacy for the Nazi Party, because they were getting quote unquote support from the Vatican. And this does speak into, I've heard conspiracies and conspiracy theorists talk about how the Vatican basically endorsed Hitler and Nazi Germany and the whole deal. So there's some of that going on. But
just to give shout out to some people who have put in, I'm not talking about people like Nick Fuentes or anything, but very interesting, the story about the quote unquote endorsements from the Vatican by the current Pope at the time. In a conversation like this, of course, we're talking about broader things, but I think it was Michael Knowles did a deep dive into that. I think he even did a documentary on it. Just a very fascinating story that got, of course, simplified in the retelling of history. But just put that out there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, these narratives and sub-narratives have fueled the Fuenteses, and that's what I'm kind of looking at. It's like, where are they getting some of this ideology? It's not just, I mean, maybe they just researched it and they kind of came to their own thing, but more than likely there's some people that are kind of whispering into their ears, whether directly or indirectly. But the Vatican, since the late 1800s, they were not a fan of the establishment of a Jewish political state in Palestine. They did not support political Zionism, at least how history records it. And they actually preferred an international sort of coalition of international groups to all together control Jerusalem, which, it's kind of funny because no matter what, it's like end timesy. If the Vatican created this council of nations to control Jerusalem, that's sort of the most beast type thing you can ever do. But also the reestablishment of Israel, modern nation state Israel, and perhaps building another temple and restarting all the sacrifices, that also is very end timesy. So it's like you can't avoid it no matter what.
Interesting too, with what we've seen recently, Trump announcing not just the Board of Peace for the Gaza geography,
yes,
but the 10-country confederacy board of peace,
Yes.
where he's gathering 10 countries to basically rule a technocratic Gaza, which sets up for a very interesting, 10 kings coming against Israel, as it is written, so it shall be.
Yeah, yep. And you've covered the Balfour Declaration quite extensively, 1917, but the Vatican opposed the declaration of the Balfour Declaration because they thought that Jewish sovereignty would disrupt Christian and Muslim communities, which I think which I think is really interesting because the arguments today are, and I've seen Christian Zionists say, we can't let Islam or Muslims control the Holy Land. They will destroy all the Christian relics and do all that stuff. But if you look at history, Islam had control of that area for hundreds of years, and they didn't necessarily like destroy everything. So anyway, that's a whole separate sort of rabbit hole. But yeah, they wanted an international type of situation for Jerusalem. And in 1948, post-World War II, when the modern nation state of Israel was founded, the Vatican publicly did not support it. Actually, it wasn't until 1993 that the Vatican recognized Israel officially in a fundamental agreement. So
I didn't realize that.
yeah, that's a long time to be like, yeah, no, I don't know about that. And the Vatican's theological reasons for this was that they were supersessionists. So replacement theology. They were basically replacement theologians. And so when Christian Zionists say, Tucker Carlson, all that, they're replacement theologians, they're actually pointing to the Catholic Church's doctrine on some of the stuff. And then, of course, political concerns for the Christian minorities of the region. And again, as I mentioned, it's the desire for an international Jerusalem, which again has its own sort of beast system flavor to it. So I say all this to point out that there is a long history of the Vatican's involvement with their dislike of modern nation state Israel, but also the connection to the CIA and intelligence operations in the West having to do with the creation, directly or indirectly, of Islamic terror groups in the Middle East, which is sort of the problem that Israel is facing head on, right? This Islamic terror group that wants to destroy Israel is public enemy number one, and they will justify all kinds of violence or terrible things to defend that message or the narrative of these terrorists trying to take over. So it is with that context that I want to present this clip here of Tucker Carlson at the Doha Forum in Qatar, and he interviewed the Prime Minister of Qatar. And I have it's a little bit of a longer clip here because the Prime Minister of Qatar has a longer answer here. But this is I think the controlled exposure, the revelation of the method where one group, namely the America First group, are being allowed to expose the intelligence operations that have been going on in the Middle East. And that's kind of how revolutions are created nowadays, especially is you uncover a conspiracy, right? You uncover corruption at the highest levels that have been corrupting for decades. And it's with that credibility that they're able to spin into some kind of revolution or political movement. So here's Tucker Carlson.
Worth a mention too. You mentioned the America First people.
Yeah.
There is that's in the context of this very interesting split going on right now in American conservatism, where previously you'd think of MAGA and America First as kind of the same group.
Same thing, yeah.
Whereas in the past literal couple months, there's been a lot of energy and rhetoric put in, especially during the Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes split in the right, to differentiate America First from MAGA. And then as a response, we see the White House coming out using the America First language as well, very specifically, which they kind of didn't really do necessarily for the longest time. So you have the America First people trying to separate from MAGA proper, and then you have the White House kind of trying to grab back on to the America First language, in the attempt to kind of at least give the impression that the American right has some sort
Unified.
of unity, right? When
Yeah.
we are very specifically in this very tumultuous time on the right.
Right. Okay. So here's Tucker Carlson asking the question and the Prime Minister of Qatar answering.
And the main criticism seems to revolve around Hamas. And the idea is that your country and you specifically are supporters of Hamas, you're terror financiers. And I'd like to just get right to the truth of that. So my understanding is Hamas is here in Doha because the United States and Israel asked you to host Hamas. Is that true? And if not, what is the truth about Hamas in Doha?
Well, thank you, Tucker. First of all, look, the starting of the relationship with Hamas and the communication was started back more than 10 years, 13 years ago at the request of United States. So even beyond that, like it was 19 years ago when they first participated in the election. And then when they moved their office back in 2012 here, it was used only for the communication and to facilitate like ceasefire, facilitating aids to Gaza. Now, unfortunately, Qatar has been attacked for having them here. But when you look, at what's happening within the region, this region, when you look at its conflict, it has the parties of the conflict. Sometimes they are state actors, sometimes they are non-state actors. If you have no one speaking to those non-state actors, how we are going to resolve or to reach to a solution at the end of the day? And now we have seen that this communication has led to ceasefires, has led to the release of the hostages, has led to alleviating the suffering of the people over there. And unfortunately, there are like politicians who are trying to use this to score like short-term political gains to fuel their narratives in order to using Qatar to blame another country for what's happening over there or for their wrong policies. All our aid and all our support and financing that went and what they claimed that it went to Hamas, went to Gaza, went to the people, and it was under very transparent process that the United States is fully aware about. Israel is the one who's facilitating, and it's not one government, it was across governments. Netanyahu, Bennett, we have dealt with all the agencies. Lapid was a prime minister at a certain point of time, Mossad, Shimbet, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, all of and the defense, all of them, they were involved in these aids and the delivery of those aids. So today, when they are claiming that this is the financing of Qatar to Hamas, it has no basis. It's just a way to spread disinformation about a country that doesn't do anything for them, but it's doing things that are against their policies. If you just go to Qatar records with in its engagement with the United States for the last 20 years or 30 years, Qatar has never went to the United States and encouraging them to bomb this country or to support this group or to that group. We've been always in our dialogues with the United States about how we de-escalate the region, how we bring peace to the region. And this peace cannot happen without an engagement with everyone in the region.
Okay, so there's the clip. Sorry, it's a little bit longer, but you get the idea where he's starting to talk about the long-standing, he said a couple 12, 13 years ago, but really you look at the history of intelligence involvement in the Middle East, and it's pretty extensive. There's a whole bunch of stuff in history. You got Iran, 1953, you got Operation Ajax, which is basically where the CIA and Mossad assisted in taking out the rise of radical Islam in Iran. And I think some of the stuff was declassified in 2013. And most scholars, like Western scholars, and this is the thing, it's kind of a known fact, and I find it interesting that it's coming to the public like this now, but most scholars agree that the Western intervention of that thing of Operation Ajax in Iran 1950s is the reason for Iran's later political radicalization. So it's not a crazy thought. And then, you and I, Basil, we grew up in this era. I don't know, maybe it's obvious to us because we've been looking at the underbelly of the evil ways of the conspiracy and all that kind of stuff. But hasn't it always somewhat been known that a lot of the terror groups in the Middle East are a direct maybe not direct, a assisted phenomenon.
No, it's
by
direct.
the intelligence.
It's
Okay, it's
called
direct. All right, I'll just say it's
directly
direct.
since 9/11. I mean, Osama bin Laden, a known
Yeah.
CIA asset, helping out against, was armed and given much like we hear in like Ukraine, like, oh no, it's just U.S. intelligence helping the Ukrainian army. Well, it was U.S. intelligence that basically led Osama bin Laden's rebel group against the Russians and you hear this over and over and over. ISIS is another one included. Lots of the South American groups. This is kind of part of the American intelligence infrastructure, and they build in, much like an actuarial table with like insurance or blah blah blah, whatever. They have a name for it. It's called blowback, and that's when the group that you armed and equipped to do for you suddenly doesn't like you and then uses your own weapons and your own intelligence against you. It's like built into the system. So it's not even a conspiracy theory, really. It's part of their own math that this is going to happen every so often.
Yeah, they're igniting something. Yeah, so the fire. Yeah, they're igniting the thing so the firework actually goes off. And so it's like all these policy decisions. I mean, they have these policy decisions that do certain things, like take out the military in Iraq, for example. The Coalition Provisional Authority, and they dissolve the Iraqi military. They dissolve the intelligence services, all like the state stuff they dissolve, and it leaves this mass of unemployed men who are armed and they're ready to fight. And of course, they're going to get radicalized in that situation. And by the way, we're sending weapons. I don't know what happened. They always end up in the hands of ISIS or Al Qaeda or something. It's like it always ends up in those hands. I don't know why. I don't know if they have bad.
Fellow was a little muddery, I guess. So what was the long and short of what he was?
The long and short of it is he's saying that Qatar, as a country, has always sought peace in these sort of diplomatic negotiations and conversations, and it was really the West with the Western intelligences and all these other nations that continue to either bomb or directly provide weaponry to these groups and things things that we've known as sort of conspiracy heads, but coming from
Israel in the West there.
Yes, yes,
Israel
he does
consider itself Western, and we allow it to, or we consider it Western often. And you can't help but come to mind, Bebe's "we control the height of the flame" comment about Hamas. And then there was, I believe it was Bebe's insinuation that Qatar was the one funding Hamas, and then somebody else's theory was that Bebe was funding Hamas through Qatar. I mean, this Qatar thing, the past 6 months, somehow everybody is worried about Qatar now, starting with President Trump, and even people again with the Tucker, the Candace, these types of people speaking out against Israel, the sort of Israeli contingent or the pro-Israel contingent. They're, I don't know if you call it a conspiracy theory, but their allegation is that if you're anti-Israel, you're being paid by Qatar.
Right. That's been the charge against Tucker, is that, oh, look, he's accepting Qatar money now and all this stuff. And Tucker's leaned into it by going to Qatar, interviewing the prime minister. This is coming from Realtor.com, because we're all on the real estate here. Tucker Carlson sparks uproar after revealing plan to buy a home in Qatar to, quote, make a statement that I'm an American and a free man.
Oh, I love this. Celebrity real estate. What a great frame to put around. What new angle can we put on this Tucker thing? Oh, let's get realestate.com to write about the property he's buying.
I'll just read a couple sentences here. Former Fox News host Tucker Carlson ignited fury from MAGA critics when he announced, this is so weird because that's not what's happening, but fury from MAGA critics when he announced over the weekend that he was buying a home in Qatar in order to, quote, make a statement after he was, quote, criticized as being a tool of the Arab country. Carlson, 56, made the revelation during an appearance at the Doha Forum on December 7th, when he told Qatari Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdullah Rahman bin Jassam Al Thani that he was preparing to purchase a new home in the city the following day. There is a clip going around. Did I put it in here? Oh, maybe I didn't put it all the way in there. Oh, I might have. Oh, no, did I not include? Okay, I had a clip of Tucker Carlson actually discussing this and basically saying, like, I'm a free man. I'm an American. I'm a free man. So he can do whatever he wants, kind of thing. I mean, I guess it's not really worth necessarily finding the clip now, unless I can pull it up in the next 20 seconds. Oh, here we go. Got it. Got the clip. I did it. I've done it. Hold on. Let's see. Here we go. Can you hear it, Basil?
Oh, I like it here.
Yep.
What?
Well, I like it here. Can you hear it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
You have been.
By the way, I'm an American. I can go wherever I want and speak to anyone I want to because I'm a free man. That's the promise of my country. And some are seeking to change that and to put our population into mental bondage. And I'm not participating in that.
And when you've questioned AIPAC and you've questioned things, are you facing a consequence and a backlash that now day to day?
I have a right to say what I think. I'm an American citizen, period.
There you go. So there's Tucker Carlson doubling down. He's criticizing AIPAC, but there's no blowback.
Yeah, making it, you know, our right as Americans to associate with any country in the world that we want. Which on one hand is like not a bad display. It's very like American free spirit. I can, you know, and just because it's Qatar is the issue. If it was, you know, if he was getting a house in Israel, you know, it would also be an issue, just with different people.
Different people, right? Different people, man. So as part of this conversation on the other side, so what I'm concerned about mainly is, you know, I'm not too worried about the Tucker Carlsons and the Candace Owens because it feels like they are being propped up as a sort of public enemy for this conversation, especially for Christian Zionists. And my concern mainly is that American pastors who are sympathetic towards Christian Zionism are being, I'm going to say duped, but I don't know, maybe misled to be propaganda pieces for the cover-up of some of the, you know, the intelligence involvement in the formation of something like radical Islam, because it's the same crowd. It's the Christian Zionists are the ones saying that the real threat in the Middle East is Islam because obviously, you know, they're look at them, they're terrorists and they're trying to destroy Israel and all this kind of stuff. Well, if those people are the same ones that don't get informed about how it's the United States and Israeli intelligence who has largely formed these terrorist groups, it really, you know, dissolves the illusion. And so that's why, you know, when Mike Huckabee stands in front of 1,000 Christian Zionist pastors in Israel, he says stuff like this, which is right on point, right on brand.
But I say to you that those who are saying things that are negative about Israel that are not true, they have the free speech right to say them, but you have the free speech responsibility to push back, stand up, speak up, and say, not in this country. America will not stand silent.
Here. It keeps going here. All right. Come on.
We need the pulpits of America to be on fire with truth, not propaganda. Nobody is asking you to go.
Yeah, not propaganda. But here's the propaganda you should all be spewing.
Go back to America and tell some story made up about Israel. Nobody's asking you to go and present some version of history that doesn't exist. Simply being asked to go back and tell the truth. And tell it from the scriptures. Because you could tell it from the front pages of the New York Slimes, and it would not be the truth. But if you tell it from the holy word of the holy God, you will be telling the truth, and the scripture may very visibly say that this is the land that God gave to the Jewish people. And he said, he will bless those who bless Israel, but he will curse those who curse Israel.
So there you go. It's back to that old thing. And he's telling people to use the Bible to justify this is, I understand there could be a difference in opinion, but it's a little troubling to me because it's almost like, ignore any critical thought about this, ignore anything, just use the Bible because people won't believe the New York Times, but people will if you use Bible verses or something. It's just like, wow, that's
it reaches this point where the argument is going on and I don't even know what the argument is about in this case. It's just sort of this amorphous pro-Israel or not pro-Israel. Like, what is he even referring to here? Is he referring to the war in Gaza?
I think he's referring
fake stories that he's talking about.
Yeah, I think it's generally the sentiment in America, the rise of Candace Owens.
That's what I mean. It's just sentiment. Like they're just talking about this amorphous. There's nothing solid. And I'm not even just picking on this is Huckabee, right?
Yeah,
there's Huckabee, and then there's the other side, and there's not even like a solid thing to try to decide between these two. It's just an amorphous support of Israel or an amorphous not supportive Israel or not considering Israel as biblical Israel or whatever. Now, Huckabee is in a situation where he was a political figure. That is his vocation, is politics.
Right.
And so any opinion that he has is automatically put in the political sort of context. And of course, as we don't need to go over it again, but one of the big problems with the Israel conversation just simply is the Israel in the Bible the nation state of Israel from 1948? And it's helpful for the entire sort of elite global system to not decide on exactly what they're arguing.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
It doesn't help. They want the division. They want the conversation to be like ships passing each other in the night.
Nebulous.
They don't want anybody getting along. The nebulousness is what creates the division, which is what they want, which is, why we're never gonna get past it. But I will say, after all of the yelling about Tucker Carlson, taking money from Qatar and then him going to Qatar and buying a house is pretty entertaining part of the story.
It is very entertaining. Yeah, the whole thing is very entertaining. And again, it's just one of those things where certain groups seem to be allowed, or certain individuals are allowed to be the ones to expose the evil or corruption or conspiracy. And in this case, it's just it just seems to me that Tucker is being deployed to maybe uncover some of the more uncomfortable truths about the history of American and Israeli intelligence.
Well, while he would know because he's CIA.
Because he's CIA, I know. It's just he's right in his wheelhouse. And then the other side being, hey, we got to keep the illusion going because the money's flowing, and the whole thing. So there's a little rundown of everything there. I'm gonna go pick up my daughter.
Get it out of your system. Or do you feel new?
I do. Yes. I gotta go.
Okay.
I gotta go pick up the daughter because she has full dress rehearsals. She's part of the party scene in the Nutcracker this year, so she's very excited about that.
Okay,
yes, this
good.
is like
I got a couple stories to cover, and we'll see you when you get back.
Yep, I'll be back. I shall return
later, Gator. All right, everybody. Hey, he came back and then he left again. All right. Monkeys in charge of the zoo, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. I want to give a big shout out. Not going to do a full producer segment, but I do want to give a shout out to our executive producers because, of course, we're on the value for value model. We don't take any money from corporations, commies, cartels, advertisers, platform partnerships, Qatar, Israel. I mean, come on. How hard is it to not take money from Qatar or Israel anymore? I mean, that's where everybody else is getting their money. What's going on here? But we are fully supported, sustained by the producers of the show, and those producers are you. It's value for value. It's easy to remember.
We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
That's right. Oh no, it's on loop. Don't loop. Get out of here, loop. And so our executive producers are people. Remember, you can produce the show by coming in with your time, your talent, your treasure. You know the drill. You can go to canarycry.support to learn more. But the executive producers that come in to support the show for $100 or more for any individual episode, and I just want to run down thinking some of them right now, starting with, who is it? Who are we starting with? Oh, Sir Marty B, Night of the Base. Oh, Gon's actually, I need to send this message to Gon. Sir Marty B, Night of the Base, coming in for a nice round number, support the show, executive producership. He would like us to pull up our show number 864. We're going to do notes and things when Gons comes back, but thank you, Sir Marty B. We also have Sir LX Protocol, V2 Baron of the Breen Protocol, Sir Jamie, Not the Lannister, and Felicia D. Thank you guys very much for supporting the show. It's been a short list of producers for the past few episodes, but the execs really goes a long way to keep us going here. So I actually want to start out with a good old Flippy update. It's been a while. Oh, here we go. Where's the Flippy update? Gon said he told me that he uploaded the Flippy update. Oh, here it is. Okay.
Flippy update. Do you want fries with that?
That's right. Time for the Flippy updates. Flippy updates. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is coming from Futurism, and it says here, Billionaires' fleshy heads put on robot dog bodies. Now, when the Flippy update started, it was just a way for us to keep up with the ever-increasing speed of robotic advancement, and very quickly turned into more of a philosophical or spiritual discussion about robots, about AI. This was, of course, back before robots and AI were a mainstream topic, and so the Flippy update's taken a little bit of a break recently, but as usual, when at least those of us who are kind of heady around here and we see the spiritual and philosophical implications of maybe material things just like robots and AI or whatever, it's only a matter of time that these spiritual or philosophical implications worm their way into the mainstream, first into the mainstream subconscious, which begins to affect their inner life, their spiritual life, their emotions, but eventually into the conscious, where those who have the ability to kind of observe what's going on inside them begin to vocalize and external the very deep implications of, say, the Flippy update. Now, this is coming from Futurism. Let's see what's going on. You got this beautiful picture here of course, Spot the robot dog in a very fleshy color, and a beautiful, lifelike, photorealistic rubber head of Elon Musk that has been put on the robot dog. Truly horrifying. Says, how's this for a sign of the times? Fresh out of a legendary run with the NFT space, the digital artist Mike Winkelmann, better known by the cutesy mononym Beeple, has a new art installation featuring robot dogs with human heads. Now remember, especially with quite famous artistic displays, the artist realm really is as close as the public mainstream is presented with the sort of ritualistic or occult underbelly of what's going on. You can name sort of mainstream artist or big famous artist after big famous artist, and we've all taken turns on the internet dissecting their art, their so what do they call it? Performance art, thinking of Marina Abramovich and Spirit cooking, these sorts of things. As well as, who's that guy? Oh, Banksy and the shredding of the blah, 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 blah. So these things, because of the sort of spiritual mechanics that occultists do operate on, whether they are occultists on purpose or whether it just happens they operate in the sort of spiritual mechanics that God set up, these are very important things to pay attention to because these affect the direction of sort of the mass consciousness in the conversation. So Beeple's little piece here is going to be very interesting to finally see this hit the consciousness of people who maybe haven't been paying attention. Here it goes. And these aren't just any old robotic abominations. Winkleman's not so subtle twist lies in the choice of heads. Billionaire tech moguls like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos. You know what? I think I skipped a piece of the last sentence. It says, better known as cutesy mononym Beeple, has a new art installation featuring robot dogs with human heads. There you go. And the human heads include Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, the sort of pantheon of godmen, which we've talked about before. Not that we, of course, respect them as big G godmen, but we do know in the, again, broad sort of occult spiritual mechanics of humanity, without God, they end up on a search for new gods, and certain men themselves seek apotheosis. And that's, I think Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos were all on the list of our 4 horsemen of the technocalypse. The only one missing is Bill Gates, which I'm actually pretty disappointed that people didn't include Bill Gates that I know of. We'll see. The installation is called Regular Animals and is currently showing at the ever buzzy Art Basel Miami Beach. There are at least 8 flesh-colored robot dogs, each fitted with its own hyper-realistic human head. On top of the billionaires, other figures include artists like Andy Warhol, Pablo Picasso, Andy Warhol again, okay, and even Winkleman himself, per the Art newspaper, which, again, back to what I mentioned before, he includes the sort of pantheon of godmen, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, in this sort of traditional techno billionaire sort of fashion, but also including other artists, and whether it be connections with, you know, intelligence or social engineering. Andy Warhol being a great example of this. Jackson Pollock, another good example. But I'm not sure if he was included. Pablo Picasso was another great example. These artists, whether they claim it or whether they think of themselves like this or not, they are also perhaps not in a pantheon of godmen or women, but in the sort of priesthood of that. Again, going back to a good example of Marina Abramovich. What is that other woman's name? I forget. Let's keep moving. All the dogs have sold to private buyers at an astonishing price of $100,000 per, except the Bezos, which the artist evidently didn't put up for sale. Okay, it's not Bezos. Probably Bezos came in and bought his own early. That would be the smart thing to do if you were a billionaire who is being featured in a thing like this. Buy your own dog so somebody else can't do something with it. For now, they're all living as a pack, jittering around in a specially made pen. And like real animals in a cage, the robot dogs excrete waste. Okay, here comes the art part of the art show. According to the Art newspaper, each dog is fitted with a camera and a printer. At regular intervals, the dogs will poop out a certificate of authenticity for a unique digital photo, which art patrons can buy as an NFT. It's a group effort too, as Winkleman told the publication, quote, that one reinterprets in the style of Picasso and so on. Some of the robots produce the NFTs, some just produce prints and certificates. Okay, cool. Each certificate declares that the accompanying artwork has been, quote, has been tested and verified as 100% pure GMO-free organic dog poop originating from a medium adult dog anus. Oh, these artists. Quote, this is AI reinterpreting the images and what the humanoid is seeing, Winkleman explained. Quote, there is an analogy. We're increasingly going to view the world through AI. We're also seeing the world through the lens of artists and tech leaders like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, who shape what we see, probably more than anybody else. And this is actually, I was maybe not surprised. Of course, an artist like Beeple, very famous, very well funded, very well known, they have these types of things in mind. This is how they see the world. And to say the part out loud that it is a combination of the billionaires and the artists, or the godmen and the priest class. In our time, the priest class can take many forms depending on what area of life or control you're talking about. But when it comes to the emotional and spiritual perspective of the secular world, of the establishment world, you could call, scientists a type of priest, but that's less around sort of social engineering and perspective crafting. But it's really the artists, these very famous ones from Andy Warhol to Picasso, who everybody kind of, whether you know much about them or not, their art or their influence on design or whatever is around you is sort of ingrained. There's no way to really avoid it. Even if you're not familiar with them individually, the art or music or perspective that you come into contact with is probably derivative of types like this, and Beeple being another example. So he's really putting out the message here of like, yes, here they are in AI form, in AI/robotics form. Here is the godmen pantheon and the priest class pantheon, and they are excreting. I mean, it's a pretty, of course, humorous way to display this. They're excreting certificates of authenticity. Some very interesting, comments on things like certification, on credentialism, on creating value. Cryptocurrency is, of course, an example. NFT is another example. But of course, this extends to fiat currency. This extends to really any certification that's done on various levels. And in this case, making that the excrement of these robot dogs. At the same time, they are actually holding value. These certificates, these NFTs being pooped out by these robot Elon Musks they're not void of value. They are valuable. The robots themselves are valuable, of course. Honestly, $100,000 for one of these dogs is, I think last time we checked, you could get a real authentic Spot the Robot dog you could lease it for about $30,000 or something, or purchase it. So, a bit of a premium to slap a life like Elon Musk head on it. The article kind of winds down here. It says Winkleman is known as the first artist to sell an NFT through an auction at Christie's for nearly $70 million, a stunt which helped bring NFTs to a temporary zenith in late 2021, 2022. However, he immediately cashed out his crypto proceeds for regular currency, citing a lack of faith in the tech. Yeah, perfect. If regular animals is any indication, Winkleman seems to be using his hype-gotten gains to turn a corner into a more mature work, if not in form, then at least in message. So, yeah, I mean, they're not wrong there. Very interesting. Now, we are kind of in this second phase of robotics because there's much fewer, there's much less to say that hasn't already been said, which is why the Flippy update is kind of taking a bit of a break here and there. But again, putting it back into the sort of abstraction or the spiritual or the social engineering bit of it, which really, that is the catalyst to bring us into the next phase of letting robots into our hearts and into our lives. Okay. What were we just saying? Let's see here. I just got distracted. Sorry about that. See, I can't look at the chat. The chat distracts me too much when it's time to. Elon specifically, whose head appears on this dog they're displaying here. He said, hey, by the end of 2026, Optimus robots, they'll be ready to go. You can purchase them. They'll be in every house. I'm going to make 10 billion of them, he says. So we really are on the precipice of the new sort of robotic age. And I know it's easy to scoff at it because we've waited so long for various predictions about robots, about AI. Of course, the AI bubble is here. And the answer to the AI bubble, or at least the perceived AI bubble, is the embodiment of the AI, is the body for the soul of AI. The sort of synthetic spirit can only go so far in a physical world. And really, I'm only just repeating in different words what the sort of, again, these little g godmen have already revealed to us. So anyways, if anybody sees out there, I'm waiting for a story about one of these robot dogs to get out of this art exhibit, and you see, Jeff Bezos running down the street, sort of running from dog catchers or something. But the next phase of the messaging must be coming. It must be on its way. Okay, let's see if Guns gave me. Let's see. Do I have a Beast System jingle? Not sure I do. Oh yeah, look at this, baby.
Speaking of the Beast System, Beast System.
Speaking of the Beast System. Okay, now this is a pretty. We've meant to report on a few of these stories in the recent past, but again, all by the Lord's timing. Whenever we either skip or miss something or wait to see how it goes, the perpetual snowballing of the story, of the connections, of the perhaps true intentions of things reveal themselves quite well. So let me share this tab instead. So you had Beeple, MrBeast. We've all talked about, everybody knows MrBeast, the chosen child of YouTube, the YouTube megastar, again, probably his own version of some little g godman, but specifically for younger generations. He's quite a few, critiques over the past years. He has focused recently on trying to, do good with his videos. When this guy puts out a video, it gets 10 bajillion views right away. And he's, trying to put on a good moral face of what a lot of people inherently considered to have an amoral sort of basis. And that is YouTube clicks, YouTube advertisements, making money on YouTube's. There's been just innumerable critiques of everything about YouTube stars, from their, provocative clickbaity headlines to their, maybe manipulative thumbnails. And these all seem very quaint. Okay. These sort of marketing things seem very quaint now because we're so far down the rabbit hole. But there was a time when these things were sort of big critiques about the manipulation of specifically young people and goading them into becoming a sort of monetized economy for people who, in MrBeast's case, obviously has the support of not just the YouTube establishment, but other establishments as well, including, this is coming from Business Insider Africa edition, says MrBeast is building a platform. No, this is not the one I wanted to. Hold on. We're going to wait. Here we go. This is the one we're doing. We're doing this one first. ABC News. MrBeast and Rockefeller Foundation team up to spark youth philanthropy to fight child labor. That's right. MrBeast, the Beast System itself, has teamed up with the Rockefeller Foundation. One of the most storied American philanthropies is teaming up with the internet's biggest creator to instill young people with a concern for what they call the world's, quote, most vulnerable populations. Now, as we know, with all of the topics involved in this, whether it's the Rockefeller Foundation, the sort of the top shelf version of globalized NGO philanthropic control mechanisms, MrBeast, the top shelf sort of technocratic manipulator of millions of children. With the flip of a switch, he can deliver a message in a way directly to 10 million children in the name of entertainment. It's interesting because we're currently watching an attempt of Netflix to purchase Warner Brothers, and Paramount's coming in. There's this whole big story we may or may not cover, but the continued condensation of control of media obviously been a big problem for decades, but the recognition that traditional media is losing its sort of power, whether it's sort of control power, even simply monetization power. We see that playing out again on the stage with some big moves from Netflix to take control of even more. Remember, one of the co-founders of Netflix was the great nephew of Edward Bernays, the fella who invented propaganda in the name of the American government. Has a long lineage, of course. Edward Bernays being the nephew of Sigmund Freud. He used his uncle's sort of psychological manipulation techniques to create the idea of propaganda, mass media, and that includes advertising as well. And then his nephew, or great nephew rather, founded or co-founded Netflix. And now Netflix moving in to purchase Warner Brothers and some bigger names there. I say all that to say, as much as we focus on perhaps the changing of the guard or the shifts in geopolitical power, perhaps economic power, we have here one of the oldest and most storied foundations, the Rockefeller Foundation, teaming up with the new shiny control mechanism that is MrBeast. And of course, it says right off the bat, they say it's to instill young people, you mean sort of socially engineer or control the minds of young people, with a concern for what they call the world's most vulnerable populations. Let's see what they mean there. Beast philanthropy. It's literally called Beast Philanthropy. The charitable organization started by MrBeast founder Jimmy Donaldson and the Rockefeller Foundation announced a strategic partnership Monday. The idea is to pair Donaldson's unique ability to capture youth attention spans with the foundation's 112-year history of using its resources and technology to tackle global problems. 112 year. Let me do this because I think if my math is correct, well, let's see here. What am I doing? I should probably use a calculator. My guess is that 112 years ago, that would have been about 1912 or about 1913. So right around the Titanic sinking, right around the Federal Reserve being created. Yeah. The sort of quote unquote philanthropic Rockefeller Foundation popping up right at the sort of most important time in world economic history, teaming up with MrBeast. Speaking together ahead of a November 21st video shoot at MrBeast's Greenville, North Carolina studio, the partners complimented the respective strengths they hope to exchange with each other. Oh, good. Quote, I've spent my entire life making YouTube videos. They've spent their entire lives helping people. Donaldson told the Associated Press, quote, obviously, they have a team who's way more experienced than me in helping people, but being able to pull on their knowledge and wisdom is amazing. Quote, I just want to download their brains into our team's brains, he added. Now, Whether MrBeast's system is talking about literally transforming digitally or transferring digitally the consciousness of, the Rockefeller Foundation team into their new, younger, hipper bodies. I mean, if anybody is at the forefront of, consciousness transitioning and trying to live forever through its sort of technocratic, rebellion against God's ways, it's going to be the Rockefeller Foundation. But even if that's not the case, even if he's not talking about the literal transitioning of the, old wrinkly consciousnesses or spirits of the Rockefeller Foundation leaders into the young, hot team of MrBeast, it's interesting how that becomes the way that becomes the language that's used. And let me see if I can put it a little bit more of a profound way. Maybe not, because we've talked about this before. Language is is how they control your perspective of things. You don't notice, you can't see something, you can't perceive something until there's a word for it. When there's not a word, when there's not language, it exists completely in the realm of the subconscious. The classic example, although it might be apocryphal, is when the Spanish conquistadors arrived off the coast of South America, and the South American indigenous looked out on the horizon, and what they saw were ships, but they had not seen ships, they had not heard of ships, they didn't know what ships are, and so they called them clouds. They said clouds arrived on the horizon, and these Spanish conquistadors arrived on clouds, which affected very much the way that the South American indigenous thought of the Spanish. They thought they were sort of divine creatures at first with their lighter skin, but also arriving on clouds. Someone who even if one of the indigenous who saw the ships and just didn't know what to call it, so just called them clouds, those who did not see them but were just told about it were then told they arrived on clouds, right? And this had a huge impact on how that period of history played out. In the same way, even if MrBeast is just using the language of, I just want to download their brains into our team's brains, it's a reflection of where we are specifically in the sort of transhumanist, technocratic, social engineering, where if you can get MrBeast to speak like this, then those that MrBeast influences with that language will have an entirely different experience. And this is just an example. I'm not saying this particular line and this particular thing is necessarily nefarious. However, MrBeast philanthropy and Rockefeller Foundation teaming up to control the minds of the world's children is in itself quite a sort of diabolical thing. But let's move on. Dr. Rajiv Shah, the president of the Rockefeller Foundation, said the philanthropic sector has long failed to capture the hearts and minds of hundreds of millions of young people. The hearts and minds, okay? They failed to capture the hearts and minds of young people. He said MrBeast can help them engage young people, inspire hope and communication, and communicate their work more accessibly. Most people have a natural desire to help others, according to Shah, but we teach ourselves that the world's problems are, quote, too big and too complicated to solve. He pointed to MrBeast's video in Zambia, where they provided a village with solar-powered electricity and clean water wells. Quote, what Jimmy's already done is show that you can change that dramatically, Shah said. Quote, if we can get people believing that they can make a difference through this collaboration, we will have achieved something really unique and really special. Indeed. Social engineering at its finest, diabolically targeted at children, especially in an age right now where trust in institutions is at an all-time low, and for good reason. Not even to mention the sort of international NGO establishment, which the Rockefeller Foundation basically invented. And we know how these things are used as control mechanisms, not just sort of political or economic control mechanisms, but also mind control mechanisms, social control mechanisms, building the sort of, what's the word? Building the infrastructure of perception and the infrastructure of morality outside of God, which is always an issue. The move signals Donaldson's continued attempt to evolve an organization with sprawling interests that include an entertainment studio, food brands, his own James Patterson book deal. His own James Patterson book deal. Oh my God. Most recently, a limited time theme park in Saudi Arabia. Oh yeah. Did we mention Mr. Beast opened up a theme park in Saudi Arabia? He brought on venture capitalist Jeff Husenhold as CEO last year and hired more new executives as a series of controversies threatened his ambitions ahead of the Amazon Prime game show's release. Interesting. Are they going to mention those controversies? The ones that included threats to children by some of his employees who are maybe part of a so-called protected class. Some very sketchy things going on over there. It's an unlikely marriage to some. I think it makes total sense. His name is Mr. Beast. It's about time he rise in his sort of royalty to the globalized beast system. It's an unlikely marriage to some. The Rockefeller Foundation is a pillar of civil society established with wealth amassed by the 19th century oil tycoon John D. Rockefeller during the Gilded Age, whereas the 27-year-old Donaldson represents the 21st century influencer economy, where entire media empires can emerge from content creators' viral stunts and the online buzz they generate. It is the marriage of the old sort of Luciferian I guess gilded is a great way to put it, the sort of gilded altar. Again, going back to the time of the Federal Reserve, imagining the Titanic, the robber barons, these sorts of things. When philanthropy really made its transformation into an image rehabilitation practice. And who better to rehabilitate your sort of ancient Luciferian sort of cabal of global leadership like the Rockefeller Foundation than a cute, cool, hip YouTuber. All right. Shah also found a natural synergy between the MrBeast's team's focus on data and Rockefeller desire to make philanthropy, quote, results-oriented and science-based. Okay, is that new, I guess? Donaldson's obsession with viewership metrics is well documented, and the YouTube page is known for its meticulous editing to ensure fans not only click thumbnails, but watch videos all the way through. Right, the propaganda, the social engineering, he's talking about the literal technical ability to make shapes and colors and sounds and put them in the perfect order to hypnotize children to maximize the monetization of their consciousness. They're saying it right there. Quote, we bring innovation, a sense of purpose, and a deep commitment to measuring results to those efforts. And over time, it's literally helped hundreds of millions of people escape poverty, hunger, and disease, Shah said. I just think Jimmy and the enterprises he's built and the perspective that he brings is totally consistent with that. Yes, mind control of young people is totally consistent with whatever the Rockefeller Foundation is doing. I don't know if I would put it in the words of literally helping hundreds of millions of people escape poverty. I would love to see the data on the Rockefellers' success in pulling hundreds of millions of people out of poverty, hunger, and disease, but okay. The exact issues they plan to tackle together, here we go, are still being hammered out. Okay, so they're not quite sure, but they're going to hammer it out. and there is no shared grant making to announce yet. But Shah mentioned that the Rockefeller Foundation has a long history of combating child hunger and noted Beast Philanthropy's video on a school meal program. Already, though, they have started working to combat child labor in the cocoa industry. Through his snack company, Feastables, Donaldson says he wants to prove that chocolate can be profitable without using child labor on cacao farms. He hopes to provide farmers with living incomes, create stable economic conditions so children can go to school instead of farms, and use his YouTube channel to rally consumers around fair trade practices. Well, isn't that nice? The Rockefeller Foundation has consulted MrBeast on, quote, how they should go about the case study, according to Donaldson. To that end, the two organizations say they will visit Ghana early next year to, quote, learn from one another's work in development community-led change and global storytelling. This brings up the issue of Africa once again. The vision of Africa as the future, not just being fought over by U.S. interests, Russian interests, and China's interests, but also the minds of the children of Africa through the MrBeast and Rockefeller Foundation. Which brings up that first article here. Yes. Share this tab instead. MrBeast is building a platform to connect creators and big advertisers, as if it could not get any more diabolical. This is not value for value, baby. This is not philanthropy. This is good old-fashioned monetization of consciousness, locking the creators or those who hope to support themselves by participating in this sort of consciousness crafting that MrBeast does, connecting them to the big money. Jeffrey Hussenbold, CEO of Beast Industries, said the company was, quote, building a two-sided marketplace in a global creator platform, matching creators with Fortune 1000 marketers who want to be able to create the creator influencer economy in an efficient way to be able to build demand for their products and services. And this is where the full circle of the mind control, the social engineering, the monetization of consciousness is coming back around. And in a way, MrBeast can duplicate the effects of what he's perfected so well. And if you think it's necessarily for the benefit of other creators, you're a very optimistic person, because at the point that MrBeast is in, he is no longer here to serve anybody but the elite, and any coincidental aiding of anybody is done in service of, in this case, the literal beast system, the literal MrBeast system. A spokesperson for the company said the marketplace was in general discussion phase and that there were no specifics to share yet. An early 2025 fundraising pitch deck viewed by Business Insider said the company was exploring a creator marketplace. If you remember, folks, there was that hullabaloo earlier this year. It was called Sodagate. And we've seen this actually repeated, specifically on the right, the sort of conservative side of Twitter, where when I think it was RFK was talking about not allowing soda pop and unhealthy poisons to be purchased with SNAP benefits, instantly a whole army of quote unquote MAGA right-wing influencers on X suddenly started posting very similarly worded arguments against their own guy, Robert Kennedy Jr. Turns out there was a marketplace, much like the one MrBeast is referring to here, called Influenceable. And it was really a beautiful period in history where the scales at least partially fell off a lot of people's eyes online, that even the MAGA conservative political rebels on X were literally selling out their influence, I guess in this case, against the interests of their own people, against the Make America Healthy Again believers or enjoyers, rather, for just silly, it's just extremely small amounts of money. Of course, we've seen recently the $7,000 checks going out to certain conservative influencers. We see this happen over and over. It had a slight hiccup when Elon Musk made the country of origin available to see on X, where suddenly, half of the entire popular conservative X influencers were found to have been started in, Tel Aviv or India or Bangladesh. So that put a little bit of a stop to that. But that was influence. It was called Influenceable, which is a sinister name for a marketplace where people on X can make money for posting against their own beliefs. But in the same sense, we have MrBeast coming up with the Beast system here to hopefully, pull even more creators out of poverty by connecting them with Fortune 1000 companies. It says here, whereas it describes a marketplace as identifying creators that fit brands' campaign goals, facilitating creator campaigns across platforms, and helping creators with monetization, viewership growth, and product launches. I wonder if they could match any brands with Canary Cry. Probably not. Gons, I see you're back. Whenever you have something to say, you just let me know.
Oh, you're doing great.
I know. Thank you. MrBeast. Okay, we already know who MrBeast is.
Beast Industries.
Beast Industries took in over $400 million in revenue last year, according to investor materials. Is he taking investment? If you're taking in 400 million a year in revenue, I can't imagine why you would even bother seeking investment.
Gotta raise more money for the world.
It's
gotta fix the world.
The company lost money last year, mainly because of high costs in its media business, and has been on a push to cut costs as well as expand new revenue lines. That explains it. See, it doesn't matter how much money you make. You're always going to need to sink low enough to sell people's souls. As YouTube's biggest creator, MrBeast could bring his clout to the creator marketer matchmaking space. Matchmaker, make me a match. Find me some ads. Give me some dough, which has been growing as advertisers shift spending from traditional media to social media creators. He would be entering a crowded field, with ad holding companies, tech platforms, and independent agencies already offering those services to varying extents. The Beast system grows, Gons.
Yeah, well, this is very obvious too. I mean, you can't really hide the fact that there's a beast behind this whole thing.
Yeah,
kind of ridiculous.
In one of the earlier articles, we also mentioned MrBeast's theme park in Saudi Arabia, which has a very interesting connection to the 10-country confederacy of the Board of Peace for Donald Trump to take control of the technocrat. They literally are calling the new government of Gaza, with the 10 countries on the peace board, a technocratic government, which is, of course, it's going to be the first smart nation. And MrBeast teaming up with Saudi Arabia for that as well.
Yeah. Did you have the headline there did you show the headline?
Yeah, it's right here. But it was already included in one of the previous things. But here's Reuters.
Okay.
World's top YouTuber MrBeast launches Saudi theme park. This was last month there.
There you go. Yeah, very interesting. It's almost like they're just passing the baton, but they couldn't help themselves when it comes to quote unquote philanthropy, or because if you're MrBeast, you've run out of things to do. You
It's
need to
the only
continue
next step.
content.
Yeah, when you become as successful in monetizing the consciousness of children as he has, there's nowhere else to go. You sort of earn your way into the globalized elite. I mean, that's what he is. He's teaming up with the globalized elite, the literal beast system taking form. I wonder, with a name like MrBeast, those old crotchety cyborgs kept alive by the organs of, the less fortunate and the cybernetic components downloading their consciousness into younger and younger bodies every generation. That's the only way to get ahead in that game, guys.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe MrBeast will never die. He'll just stay. How old is he? 30 or something?
We often
30,
joke
30?
how we have enough content out there where you could, recreate our entire persona using AI with the thousands of hours of content. MrBeast might be one of the only guys who could beat us on that. Who knows? This MrBeast might not even be him.
Oh, he's 27 years old. He was born in May of 1998. Oh my gosh, we're getting old, Basil. We're not getting old. Oh, I was in high school. I was a freshman in high school when MrBeast was born. And look at him now. He just passed by us like a rabbit running past a turtle or something.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on that? Are you?
Nope.
I think you covered it pretty well here.
Ready to talk about whack jeans when you
whack jeans.
It's Corona time. COVID-19, 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 yes. COVID-19, COVID-19.
Vaccine. Number one way.
Ah, the good old days. The rise of Canary cried during the pandemic until they shut us down. CBS News. Headline here. Appointment of controversial FDA official rocking agency like, quote, an atom bomb. Scientists there say. Okay, so an atom bomb has been unleashed into the FDA, Basil. This is a long time coming. The Trump administration's elevation of a vaccine skeptic to lead a high-profile office within the Food and Drug Administration is raising alarm among multiple senior FDA officials who told CBS News the appointment will harm the agency's reputation. As a reliable steward of the nation's drug supply. It's funny. It feels like the last 3 or 4 years has been the reason for harm of the agency's reputation, not so much this lady, but
yeah.
Okay.
No, they're
Okay.
flipping it on its head. They have to report it as the inverse. Yeah.
On Wednesday, Dr. Tracy Beth Hogue, I think I'm saying that right, Hogue, was tapped as acting director of the FDA's Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, which is responsible for evaluating new drugs and ensuring adequate supplies of existing ones. Her appointment came after the abrupt resignation of Richard Pazdur, a veteran FDA scientist who took over the office just 3 weeks ago. There's up with these people coming in and then, not being able to hold. There was a lot of turmoil at the FDA, even throughout the pandemic. I remember a bunch of lead scientists quit.
Yeah, the vaccine, this specific committee, the vaccine committee, had
right.
pretty much all but a couple of them quit specifically because they did not agree with the decision on childhood COVID vaccines.
Yep.
And they don't mention that. And what I love about this story is they'll mention a bunch of former FDA heads say this is horrible. What they don't tell you is a bunch of former FDA heads who currently now work for the drug companies. They're former FDA heads, but now they're at Pfizer, they're at Moderna, they're at the exact companies who stand to lose by changing these recommendations. But of course, they're not going to report that.
Yeah. Especially CBS News, which relies on advertising from those big pharma companies. Quote, putting Tracy Beth in charge is like dropping an atom bomb, one agency source said, adding that multiple top-level officials are preparing resignations. Quote, it's an extinction-level event. Tracy Beth Hogue has never supervised a drug review, never has conducted a clinical trial. She doesn't understand laws and regulations, end quote. The spokesperson for the Department of Health and Human Services did not respond to questions about Hogue's qualifications. Hogue did not respond to requested comment. In a statement when she was appointed, Hogue said, quote, I'm committed to transparency, honesty, and decisions based on rigorous science and ensuring important changes happen efficiently. Sounds, it's funny because she sounds like a true technocrat, populist technocrat. She's going to bring transparency, honesty. We're going to clean up the system. We're going to bring rigorous science and efficiency, using all the buzzwords for, I don't know, like DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. Hogue has been a controversial figure. This fall, she advocated making it more difficult for young men to receive the COVID vaccine because of the potential risks from a rare side effect, myocarditis, according to Stat News.
Oh no, she's gonna
this fall,
young men.
Fall 2025, she expressed concerns that have been circulating the internet since 2021 or something. Since joining the FDA in March, she's been advising Commissioner Marty Makary on the agency's vaccine policy and helped write a recent memo claiming FDA leaders found at least 10 children had died after and because of receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. The memo, which was obtained by CBS News, offered no data to back that claim. I like CBS News really, throwing out the bad source line there when it's convenient, but their own sourcing is questionable most of the time. HHS said it plans to release data on it soon. Okay, great. The memo was also outlined planned agency changes in handling COVID-19 and certain other vaccines, and said that FDA staff who disagreed should resign. After it was made public, dozens of former FDA leaders denounced the proposed changes, writing in the New England Journal of Medicine, the same one that said that wearing masks is a talisman, that they, quote, undermine a regulatory model designed to ensure vaccine safety, effectiveness, and availability, end quote, and, quote, represent a major shift in the FDA's understanding of its job. Man.
Yeah. Its job is to benefit the pharma companies. That's
right.
what they're saying.
They're admitting that
a major shift of understanding its job. Oh, you mean making real recommendations, keeping an eye out for the health of actual citizens? No. You're misunderstanding.
That's the job.
Your job is to facilitate maximum profit for the pharma companies.
Yeah, I know. And here's the thing, though. As much as this is sort of a called it or, I told you so type of moment, there is an element for me of like, hey, this is the rebellion against the farmers from Animal Farm. The farm animals all got together under the guide of the pigs, and they overthrew the farmer and kicked the farmer out. And now the pigs get to go into the house, right? And then they close the door and none of the other animals can come in. There's an element of just be careful what you wish for, because yes, this is a positive direction in terms of a more honest, federal guidance for things like vaccines. And I think that's, it should be the standard, right? I mean, it's sad that we even have to have this conversation where it's a controversial thing for somebody to step in and be like, hey, I want to be more efficient. I want to have like clearer science on stuff. But of course, that goes against the prerogative of why a group like the FDA exists. But at the same time, what is the ultimate goal when it comes to the FDA, if not this, proxy advertising for big pharma? If you're going to clean it up, it's got to still benefit. And it could just be that the benefit goes to the public, the general public, the American people. But I don't know. It just feels like there's something else being worked on that's going to not blindside necessarily, but be a side effect of this type of thing. That's, for example, like loosening certain vaccine mandates will allow for some bio attack to happen. And because our children weren't protected, they bring up polio and stuff, and they've tried to do with polio where it's like, oh, polio's spreading again because these kids aren't getting vaccines, stuff like that, where the counter
Yeah, the pendulum, the
The
Hegelian
pendulum.
dialectic.
Yeah, the Hegelian dialectic. A new set of problems and new set of solutions. Things like
And
that.
the real problem is the sort of sneaky part of this CBS News article is they're talking about a change in leadership being, the biggest problem. When the same day we're reporting from Fortune, and this was some pretty big news that's got everybody blowing up. U.S. vaccine advisors end decades-long recommendation for all babies to get a hepatitis B shot at birth. This is pretty huge.
Yeah.
A loud chorus of medical and public health leaders decried the actions of the panel, whose current members were all appointed by the U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, a leading anti-vaccine activist before this year becoming the nation's top health official. Decry, quote, "This is the group that can't shoot straight," said Dr. William Schaffner, a Vanderbilt University vaccine expert who for decades has been involved with the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices and its work groups. So, meaning he's one of the guys who didn't quit during COVID when most of the vaccine panel quit about the recommendation for childhood COVID vaccines. Oh, so he was left over from those who quit. So he's obviously has the people's interest in mind.
He sounds like he's a Second Amendment guy. Can't shoot straight. Is he into guns?
Okay, very good. Several medical societies and state health departments said they would continue to recommend them.
Rebels!
While people may have to check their policies, the trade group AHIP, formerly known as America Health Insurance Plans, yeah, good. Listen to the health insurance companies. Let the health insurance companies tell you how much money and how many medical products to use on your baby. Said its members will still cover the birth dose of hepatitis B vaccine. For decades, the government has advised that all babies be vaccinated against the liver infection right after birth. The shots are widely considered to be a public health success for preventing thousands of illnesses. But Kennedy's advisory committee decided to recommend the birth dose only for babies whose mothers test positive and in cases where the mom wasn't tested. Oh, you mean they're making the recommendation that if the mother doesn't have hepatitis B, the child doesn't need to be vaccinated for a illness that they're not at risk for? These crazy animals. For other babies, it will be up to the parents and their doctors to decide if a birth dose is appropriate. Not parents and their doctors. How diabolical. The committee voted 8-3 to suggest that when a family elects to wait, then the vaccination series should begin when the child is 2 months old. President Donald Trump posted a message late Friday calling the vote a very good decision. The acting director for the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, Jim O'Neill, is expected to decide later whether to accept the committee's recommendation. The decision marks a return to a health strategy abandoned more than 3 decades ago. Meaning it's old and futile. Asked why the newly appointed committee moved quickly to re-examine the recommendations, committee members Vicky Pebsworth on Thursday cited pressure from stakeholder groups without naming them. Okay, get those stakeholders in there. It's stakeholder capitalism. Committee members said the risk of infection for most babies is very low and that earlier research found the shots were safe for infants was inadequate. They also worried that in many cases, doctors and nurses don't have full conversations with parents about the pros and cons of the birth dose of the vaccination. Oh, they're so sinister. The committee members voiced interest in hearing the input from the public health medical professionals, but chose to ignore the experts' repeated pleas to leave the recommendations alone. The committee gives advice to the director of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention on how approved vaccines should be used. CDC directors almost always adopted the committee's recommendations, which were widely heeded by doctors and guide vaccination programs. But the agency currently has no director, leaving acting director O'Neill to decide. Okay, well, he is the acting director. So you have an acting director, that's a director.
It's interesting, though, because even they're all acting positions. You know, the CDC director is an acting director. This lady, the Hogue lady, isn't she an acting person for that one for
Yeah,
the committee?
because Congress doesn't want to confirm any of Trump's nominations. So this
Yeah.
acting director thing is actually a strategy by the Trump administration to actually get things done, because anybody that they want to actually confirm just gets struck down in their confirmations. There's been a few examples of that so far.
Yeah.
They go on, and it goes on and on and on and on about how bad this is, how evil they are. Of course, they don't mention any of the not just common sense, but actual good science about how vaccinating a baby, again, it's very similar to the COVID issue. Why administer a medical intervention with any risks at all? I'm not even going to talk about all the risks that there are, but in theory, if there are any risks at all to the medical intervention, does it outweigh the actual chances of the disease affecting that child? And if the child's mother doesn't have hepatitis B, which you get from sexual encounters or using used heroin needles, if your baby is going to avoid those two things, there's no real reason to put them at any sort of risk, even the slightest of risk, which is the whole issue with the COVID vaccine. When it comes to the actual numbers of children affected by COVID alone, any sort of risk from any medical intervention should be balanced with this sort of idea, unless your main concern is making profit for the pharma companies. This is just obvious. I'm not even saying anything sort of conspiratorial. It's just the fact of the matter. So it goes on. Let me see here. Nope. Yep. There is nothing else we need to read in this, I don't think.
Well, where do you think this heads here? Because I'm thoroughly convinced, and I think many people are, that part of the reasoning for a global pandemic with the vaccine trailing along quickly was for the topic of transhumanism. That the topic itself became very popular during COVID because people were sitting there studying these different topics, but health, the control of your health, right now, because of the system, there's a whole generation of people hooked on pharmaceuticals to get by. And of course, big pharma is not going to want to let go of those people. Literally, it's like a till death do them part kind of situation for a lot of people, which is unfortunate, but it's just the way it is. But as we move towards, I don't know, I'm going to use the word decentralization, but a more self-sovereign model for health, how does it affect groups like the FDA? Are they even necessary over time? And maybe that's part of it. There's been discussions about how Trump is trying to destroy some of these institutions anyway from the inside out. Because really, if they're not doing the bidding of big pharma, then what is the purpose of the FDA? Truly, I mean, I kind of agree with those critics.
That's sort of the point on the first article about this.
Yeah.
When they came out and they said they're changing the recommendation for the Hep B vaccination, several states, we can generally cut it into red and blue states. The red states are going, oh yeah, okay, sure, that's the recommendation, perfect. There's 600 laws across the 50 states that are based on the recommendations of the vaccine committee, right? Overall, over time, there's 600 laws on the books that are based on that recommendation committee, because most states were recommending based on that committee. And what that shows us is, yes, this committee was sort of the centralized planning organization for the birth pharma pipeline. Now that they've come out and changed this recommendation, they've changed a couple other recommendations. Only about 22 states have said that they're going to continue taking the recommendation
Right.
of the vaccine committee, and those 22 states are red states. So you've got this interesting thing where the red states are now saying, yes, we trust the federal committee, the FDA committee on this. Let's do it. Whereas you've got 20-something, 27-something states who are saying, oh, we disagree with that. We're not going to take your recommendation anymore. And those are blue states who are no longer taking the recommendation. They're not all blue, but it breaks down the way it breaks down. And so, yeah, you've got this very strange thing where blue states are pushed in a direction to be decentralized. Now, the blue states are saying, well, we won't take the recommendation of the federal vaccine committee. We're going to take the recommendation of the industry groups, like we said, the insurance industry groups, the pediatric industry groups, the cardiovascular industry groups, which are the sort of public-private partnership, non-governmental corporate control. This is the corporatocracy control over those recommendations, where of course, their idea is, oh, they don't have Republicans in there, so we can trust them. They're not ideological. They literally say the opposite of the truth. Like, that is what mainstream media is for now. And instead, they want to continue taking the advice of the industry, of the corporations, which of course they do, because everybody's who's making those decisions are getting kickbacks. The doctors are getting kickbacks. The medical groups are getting kickbacks. The political figures are getting their, political donations from the big pharma. It's really revealing, if anything else. I don't know what'll happen in the future. Unfortunately, if I had to put money on it, I'd say, by 2028, the pendulum will slide in totally other direction, and the Democrats will refill all these positions with industry folks, and everything will go back to the way it was, only more so, probably, barring some sort of apocalypse or some sort of true revolution of some kind. They will just go back the way it was, and this will all just kind of be a blip. And it depends, you're talking about the sort of fundamental economic powers of the beast system contributors, in this case, pharma companies, but not just them, versus whatever God's plan is for the rest of the world. I don't know.
The woman who's replacing that position at the FDA, Tracy Beth Hogue, she has a Substack that she's been publishing since the end of 2022. And in September of 2023, she had a podcast episode, and she published an article, or I guess, just embedded the interview. And it's titled DNA Contamination of COVID Vaccines and Hepatitis B Vaccines for Infants, Current Evidence Landscape and How Recs Differ by Country. And they point out how the Scandinavian countries, disagree with the American science on hepatitis B. So, it's part of the,
You bring in the international community in this, nothing makes sense. South Korea, Japan, tons of countries have come to the same conclusion that that this vaccine committee has come to, which is such a moderate position. I mean, some people are really actually quite annoyed by RFK and the vaccine committees, because it's really quite pitiful. They're saying, oh, we're not going to recommend it. The parents can decide. But if you don't get it right away, just wait 2 weeks. So
right.
The fact that the mainstream or whoever is freaking out so much is also disingenuous, because it's the moves by the American organizations are so incremental that it's really disappointing to a lot of people.
Right.
Whereas other countries are taking much more serious steps towards protecting people.
And that's been the case with many different topics, with certain GMO things with food. There's a lot of countries that don't use the same kind of chemicals that we do for our food and stuff like that. So there's a long-standing history.
RFK protecting himself from getting taken out. I mean,
true.
When you really, I mean, if you really want to get down to it, it's probably everybody on this panel and RFK taking the smallest possible steps that they could possibly make while still making progress in hopes that, you know, their Tesla brakes don't give out or their self-driving car doesn't drive them into a lake or something.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think we did a pretty good job covering COVID during the pandemic era, and you know, we haven't really brought too many stories regarding the aftermath and the after effects of everything. But clearly, you know, the world has changed, and the way in which people govern has changed a lot. And I don't know. I think it's an ebb and flow, right? We're going to have some good moments, but be careful what you ask for. You never know when this is going to turn bad. It could create the atmosphere or climate for some other types of ops where you know, there could be quite a bit of damage, and then therefore, you know, we got to bring back the old system. But, you know, make big pharma great again. We'll be saying it in like 5 years. You know, all the conservatives will be like, bring back big pharma. Things were just more simpler when big pharma was in charge.
Not unless we're getting paid. Got to give us
yeah.
the $7,000 checks if you want us to say that.
Right.
Speaking of which, Guns, I think it's time we thank some producers.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I am down.
We are on the value for value model, folks, which means we are not taking any money from corporations, commies, cartels, influenceable pharma companies,
Beast Industries,
the Vatican, Beast Industries. Nope, none of that. But we are entirely sustained by our producers, and the producers are you. It's the value for value model. Very simple. We try to create as much value as we possibly can. And if you get any value, the understanding is, and this is a real revolution for each and every one of us, especially in these tough times where economic systems, economic powerhouses are controlling so much, not just of our ability to support ourselves, but also our perspectives, the way that we see the world, the way we feel we are able to affect the world or even survive in the world. But the value for value model invites us all to become a part of whatever it is that brings value to our life, because we know that if the cycle of value stops, then the value stops altogether. There's no corporation sitting here paying for your Canary Cry news stock. It's up to all of us to put some value back in. And that could be with our time, our talent, or our treasure. Lots of ways to do it, not just about money. If you have some time on your hands, if you have some skills that could help out the community, you can put those skills to work. If you send us an email to canarycryradio@gmail.com, start a conversation with us. If you're an artist, a musician, if you create things, you can go to canarycry.art. Make something for the show, whatever it is, upload it there. We'd love to feature it on the show. And if all else fails, you can still support us with your treasure. Go to canarycry.support to produce the show. Executive producers are those who come in, they support the show for $100 or more for any individual episode. And of course, a big old thank you to all of our monthly producers in whatever amount. It does not matter. Whatever amount that the Lord has equipped you with to participate in what he's doing on this earth, whether it's $1, whether it's $20, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Big old shout out to all of our monthly producers. Gives us a little bit of a breath to look 30 days ahead and say, okay, well, here's what we're working with. Our executive producers, I went down the list earlier in the show, Gons, but we'll thank them real quick because somebody's on a streak, and we had a note from an executive producer. It might be for an off-air thing, but let's check it out. I'm going to start with thanking executive producer Sir Marty B, now to the base. Thank you very much.
Sir Marty B, thank you very much.
Comes in with a nice round number. He says, would you guys pull up your show 864 and listen to my song at the end? Is it my recording or your podcast software that is really tearing it up? The new stuff I send you. Thanks, Marty B. This might be something for us to look on the back end. I will say, Marty B, if you are specifically referring to the live stream version of the show, it's probably getting a little tore up because it's just the nature of live streaming. It's not the quality is not there. That's why the podcast version is always much higher quality. So if you were listening to your song on the live stream on YouTube, it probably was a little scratchy, probably a little grimy. That happens with our voices too. But on the podcast version of that episode, usually, unless there was a problem with the back end production guns, that would have been natively recorded on your end.
Yeah.
Right?
It should be clear. I mean, there might be some compression going on. You know, everything gets slammed. If it's already compressed music, it's a double compress, that kind of thing. But I don't know. We'll have to check it out.
Getting the 3-hour podcast down to a size that we can actually upload it, that always does some compression. So rarely will something stay at its like top waveform quality.
So we'll check it out. We'll check it out for you.
Check it out.
Thank you, Sir Marty B.
Thank you, Sir Marty B. Next up, we got Sir LX Protocol V2, Baron of the Breen Protocol. Coming in for $100.33. It's on a 445 episode streak and a 99 episode executive producer streak. So close. One more for that 100. Thank you, Sir Alex Protocol.
Thank you.
We have Sir Jamie, not the Lannister, coming in with his weekly tithe. Thank you very much, Sir Jamie.
Thank you, Sir Jamie.
Appreciate that. And Felicia D came in, supported the show for a nice round number. Thank you.
Hey, Felicia D. Thank you.
Let's see. Other than that, we had a new supply dropper sign up, and that was supply drop producer Alfred H. Alfred H went over to canarycrysupplydrop.com. He said, I'm getting value. I want to continue getting value. I'm going to go sign up, support the show for $33.33 a month. And he's going to start getting packages from us every quarter. Bunch of cool stuff. I think we're able to sneak Alfred in on the 4th quarter supply drop. I'm going to make sure he gets on the list.
Waiting for supply drop.
And other than that, it was CageRattlerCoffee.com. Go check it out, folks. Cage Rattler Coffee. Coffee for Canarians by Canarians is the best stuff you can get. I highly recommend it.
Cage Rattler Coffee, where value for value never tasted so good.
So good.
That's right. We got Canary Cry producers getting those beans from all over the world. It's all roasted in small batches by another Canary Cry producer, and it's here to benefit Canary Cry producers. There is the Coffee of the Month Club. We are here on the first month of the Coffee of the Month Club for Cage Rattler Coffee. Good on over there. Sign up. It's a great way to continue to give monthly producership to the show, because a portion of every sale over there comes to support the show. And it really is the best. I have it every day. Gons has it every day. And we got nothing but rave reviews for every bag that's gone out. Let's see here. Was there any other big announcements for Cage Rattler that I was supposed to do? I don't think so, but get on over there, get on your Coffee of the Month Club, or go ahead and purchase whatever coffee you need. They got it for you.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was a short list today.
That's the supporters?
That's the supporters. Yeah, we thank God for those executive producers and the monthly producers. Appreciate that. We did have some people coming in under $7.77. We'll thank them on Wednesday to keep their streak going. But other than that, we did have some art come in, Gonzo.
Yes, we did. We got we had art come in from Sir Darren.
Yeah, put up the art there. This is great. So he's playing off of, I believe it was the Call of Duty tease for the new Call of Duty games. So very very mysterious, very cool thing here. It's got a half Gons, half Basil Call of Duty hardcore soldier man staring into the back. You've got a Basil Rosewater and Gons Shimura production, 12, 15, 25. I'm assuming he did the right math. That episode 900 will be on 12, 15, 25. His note says, redacted, is about soldiers used by nations, the emotional cost of war, and breaking away from systems of manufactured loyalty to forge your own path, even if history condemns you for it. And this is our episode 900 tease from Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Panda. And he also gave us a video version here that we can start playing at the top of the show. Is there audio in that?
You can't hear it?
No. Audio's not.
Oh, gee, man. This is... People in the RSS can hear... Oh. People with with RSS can hear all of it. It's just live stream folk don't get the full effect.
Does it keep resetting or something?
Yes, it just every time I play anything, it just drops. But okay, here we go. It's all blurred out too. The Canary Cry stuff. I don't know what else it says there.
It's a tease. No, it's a tease. It's supposed to be blurred out.
Yeah, I know.
We don't know what's coming. We don't know. There's no way of knowing. Nobody could ever know. Thank you, Sir Darren. Night of the Hungry Panda. Appreciate that. Always very professional work.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We got anything else? I think that's it for the art.
I think that was it for the art today. Thank you very much. Shout out to everybody who joined the Canary Cry text message alert system. All you got to do is text the word canary to 877-740-3226, and I will start personally sending you a text before every show, which is a good way to make sure you don't miss a show. At least you've given the choice yourself whether you want to watch it or not, because of course none of the platforms are sending out our notifications to very many people, so it's a great way to make sure the show's going on and catch it if you want, but it's also very fun. You can text us back at that number. I read them all. I love them all. I cannot carry on a text conversation with you because it's very expensive on our side. But a big shout out to 787 who says Benedicion from Puerto Rico. Thank you guys for showing us the work and how to be able to discern it. Felicidades y benedición this holiday season. Thank you, 787.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Let's see here. 330 was impatient today when I sent out the text message, and the stream wasn't set up yet. Sent it out just a little too early. The stream wasn't set up yet.
Oh, they were not happy.
And 330 says, well, where is it? But tapping on the floor. Just kidding. Looking forward to the show. Thank you, 330. 678 also said, where is the live feed? Check your YouTube and Rumble. Never mind, I found the YouTube feed. Thank you very much.
678
and 928 says, is it live though? Are you sure? This is what happens when I send out.
Yeah, you can't pull the trigger too early next time. You got a lot of angry people.
Mr. Yeah, send the text. Go ahead before you set up the stream. 970 says, yippee. Thank you very much, 970. This could be you, folks. Let's see here. Who's this? Okay, so this person sent this last Thursday, I think. 570 says, I'm not sure if anyone is reading this. I am. I just want to say thanks for all you do, Gons and Best Buddy Baz. I'm a very passionate person, and sometimes I might get a little crazy in the chat. I'm going to tone it down. Lord, help me. I love you guys and what you do. I love all the Canarians out there. May God bless you and never stop, never give up, you soldiers of Christ. Well, thank you very much, 570.
Yeah,
I don't know who you are in the chat, but I think it's always a good moment of personal reflection. Is our addition to the chat helpful? Let's see here. Who else? I think that's good for now. That's good for now.
I think so.
So there you go. Text the word canary to 877-740-3226 and stay connected, because the big tech platforms are doing everything they possibly can to disconnect you from us and many others as well, which is why we had to develop this system. We still, pretty much every episode, we'll get a comment, somebody going, "Oh my gosh, you guys are still going. I had no idea. I would have been tuning in the whole time. YouTube never told me," or whatever.
Yeah, I know. We get that every day almost. There's
Every
somebody new
day,
saying,
every
yeah.
day. But God bless, people continue to find their way back. I mean, it really is amazing that we're still alive. They took our channels down in 2021. It was only 1 year into COVID, and they took us down. They stopped the freight train, and somehow we're still here.
We were lost in the wilderness in diaspora for 4 years.
4 years.
And guess what? We came back, and we didn't need a financier.
We're still technically here, and
they
still
let us back into the building, but they're not really letting us on the field.
we're not getting a paycheck. That's for
Shout
sure.
out to every
Whoa, this was supposed to be the text message alert jingle.
Shout out to everybody who joined the Canary Cry text message alert system. And all you got to do is text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. And you can send us messages whenever you want.
I like how you start like melting during that jingle. You're like, all you gotta do is good job.
Thank you for Jonathan F for that version of the text jingle. Let's see here. Oh, other than that, I do want to give everybody a reminder. Go listen to our episode with the Nephilim Deathsquad guys.
Yes.
They have it up on their RSS feed. They have it, of course, on their YouTube channel. We link to it on a couple X posts. I am going to actually just copy paste the link if this allows me to.
Yeah, you know it's funny.
Link.
You,
I'm gonna
you know
put the
how I
link
have
in the
issues.
chat.
You know how I have issues with certain pages. They're completely random. I don't know why, but this was another occasion where I hit that link that you gave me. You know, the one that you gave me with the Nephilim Death Squad YouTube interview. And it pops up for 1 second, and then it says video unavailable on my site.
Oh, that's crazy. Well,
I don't know what the deal is, but
yeah, that's very odd. Okay, I put the link into both of the YouTube chats. I'm going to pop it over here into the Rumble chat. There you go. Now you guys have something to watch next. Okay, so go check it out. Share it with your friends. I think very important conversation for the body of Christ specifically in this time, and it was stoked to do it. We should try to get those guys on our show. I don't know if those guys go on shows, but cool dudes. Hope to continue building a friendship with those fellas.
Yeah, there might be like a pseudo Canary Cry meetup in Florida or something next year. We'll see because of the Nephilim Death Squad people.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, so they're the guys who do Bohemian Grove. Yeah, you mean we can if there's any Canarians. There's any Canarians over there in Florida, maybe we can get some people together.
Yep.
Okay, let's see here. Other than that, you have anything else? Do we have any other announcements?
I did make my first sort of quick post for anybody who's in on the inner circle of 33 from the Face Like the Sun Patreon. I posted a little blurb about archetypalism, and I'll be publishing the current draft of the introduction and the table of contents sometime this week as well. So if you want to get in there,
I think you should make at least one of those things. Just put on the YouTube. I think people.
I know.
Give people a taste of what you'll be getting into.
Yeah. I got to roll out some stuff before I give the taste. You know, like
I see. You got to build up the backlog there.
Yes. So in the works, but I think there's based on the feedback I've been getting so far, it's people are somewhat excited about having like a formalized hermeneutic, if you will, that will hopefully help people address all these world events and also I'm not doing anything new here. I'm really just compiling all the scholarship that's existed with this topic, and there's a couple different avenues of that with typology. Someone recently informed me about semiotics, which is a more modern type of thing, and then just creating a protocol might be too intense of a word, but really just a framework to do what we do, Basil, which is look at world events, news, and figure out like, hey, how much does this echo or suggest some kind of archetype for biblical prophecy? And I think it'll be interesting because every time any news event pops up, we can analyze it from that perspective and say like, hey, this ticks off this checkbox here, but all this other stuff not there. And so we can point out the prophetic significance without dying on the hill of an interpretation that comes with that a lot of times. So go check it out, and I'll publish more stuff on it as time goes on. I'm very excited about it. I'm glad people are reacting well to it, and it actually drives me to continue with it, because the last thing I want, Basil, is just me screaming into the void about something that nobody cares about.
Well, you might.
I mean, that is half of what we do here.
Yeah.
That is
so when you say go check it out, you mean go to the Face Like the Sun Patreon?
Patreon, yeah. I did publish a video on the Face Like the Sun channel about it too, a short little video about it. So you can go check that. I'll probably make another video on it this week too.
Okay.
Well, so.
There you go. Sounds like a blast.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is going to be vague, but I have to keep it vague. And the people who know should know. Some people who are responding to a call that I put out on Canary Cry Clubhouse back with Rod. I'm sending out an introductory email. So keep an eye out for that. If you had reached out to us, I am just now getting to putting out the email to everybody. So
yeah, you're forming your own little cult over there too with
you know, we're trying to figure things out around here. Thank you to all of our producers, but especially thanks to the producers who come in, they support us with their time. Very important. One big thank you to our timestampers. That's very important.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
The timestamps right now, I think Jade Bouncerson is the sole timestamper.
Yes.
So thank you, Jade Bouncerson.
Thank you very much, Jade Bouncerson. And as always, if anybody is just seeking for a way to put some value back in, and I won't say it's necessarily easy, it is simple though, is to help us timestamp the show. There's a system, there's a UI. All it takes is someone to watch the show live and click a button here or there. Jade Bouncerson has been extremely faithful for a very long time. And I hope that somebody else out there would like to get involved at one point or another, just so we can bless Jade Bouncerson and give her a break.
Yeah,
Even once a week would be great. So send us an email, canarycryradio@gmail.com if you want to do that. Thank you to Jam for heading up the Telegram. Thank you to Adam42 for the Discord. If anybody wants to join the Telegram or the Discord, become a part of the community there, all you got to do is go to canarycry.party. You will see the invite links there on that list of links. Thank you to Joe for the feedback. Thank you to Clank for everything you're doing there, Clank. And of course, Sir Ike as well. These are the producers we could not survive without. And we appreciate them and appreciate all of you, dear listeners. And you can share the show. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Doesn't matter who they are. They could be complete strangers. Just listen to the Holy Spirit. He will guide you. We call it rattling cages. And all you got to do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Guns, any last words?
I was going to share with you, Basil. There was a clip of Joe Rogan talking about the Book of Enoch. My goodness. I mean, talk about mainstreaming all those ideas. And he does it in his Joe Rogan way, you know, where it's aliens, it's the biblical thing, it's the whole thing. So
was that from the same interview where he said hey, Jesus will come back as AI?
I think it might be a different one, but yeah, he's Joe Rogan's talking a lot of this stuff, which makes me wonder who's in his ear, you know. So anyway, maybe we'll break it down on Wednesday.
Okay, sounds good. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, Think outside the cage.
Do not come back, you Nazi psychopath.
Give me a break.
Toilets! Toilets! Toilets!
This is the way.
We're all gonna die.
This is the way.
Armageddon's on the way.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Howdy, partner.
Do you even know?
Cause me to hear thy loving kindness in the morning. For in thee do I trust. Cause me to know the way wherein I should walk. For I lift up my soul unto thee. Deliver me, oh Lord, from my enemies. I flee unto thee to hide me. Teach me to do thy will, for thou art my God. Thy spirit is good, lead me into the land of uprightness. Deliver me, oh Lord, from my enemies. I flee unto thee to hide me. Teach me to do thy will, for thou art my God. Thy spirit is good, lead me into the land of uprightness.
I wanna die or be decapacitated. I wanna be vaccinated.
created all there is, everything. You spread the clouds across the sky, it made it rain. What is his name? Glorify his name. Glorify his name. His name is the name above all names. He's the one who saved me, so I'm gonna glorify his name. Glorify his name. The mountains all around his heaven. The raging storms at sea, his command. What's his name? Glorify his name. Glorify his name. Glorify his name. Glorify his name. His name is the name above all names. He's the one who saved me, so I'm gonna glorify his. Glorify his name. Glorify his name.
They're going to probably try and rattle her cage a little bit more.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Canary cried out,